So, Fit over 67 writes, is fitness just about building muscle? Well, that right there is a very good question. What is fitness, and to what degree does building muscle play in an overall fitness program? So today, I want to talk about that very thing, so stick around. All right, so again, thank you, Fit over 67, for this excellent question. Is fitness just about building muscle? This is exactly the kind of topic and discussion that I think is very, very important to be had in regards to fitness. Now, I do believe that fitness is hard to describe. It's a very broad concept or definition, but I do believe it's contextual, at least in the sense of age context. When one is 20, fitness is a whole different ballgame than fitness when you're 62. Now, at least in my humble opinion, fitness is predicated upon mobility, being able to move about and do things and staying active. When you're 20, by and large, that's a given. As you start aging, 40, 50, 60, 70, that mobility can dissipate and wane. So I want to talk about what I believe to be a way to prevent that, and that is to avoid frailty. And I'm going to talk about frailty here in a minute. But a way to do that is to maintain muscle mass and, if you can, increase muscle mass, which leads to all kinds of other things which will ultimately lead to increasing your mobility and being more fit. So let's talk about frailty real quick, and then we'll catch back up in a minute here.
All right, so before we get too far into this, let's talk about frailty. And this particular document, I'll leave the link down in the description so you can check this out if you want to. I've read several of these, and they're all pretty much the same in their concept and definition. So this particular one is the frailty syndrome, definition in natural history. And in the introduction here, it just goes on to talk about it. It says, frailty is a common clinical syndrome in older adults that carries an increased risk for poor health outcomes, including falls, incident disability, hospitalization, and mortality. Now, none of those is very good, but mortality, that should raise your eyebrows a little bit. So let's talk about the definition of frailty. Now, they've described this as meeting 3 out of 5 phenotypic criteria, including comprised energetics, low grip strength, low energy, slowed walking speed or gait, low physical activity, and or unintentional weight loss. Now, this particular diagram right here, explains it very, very well. I'm going to go over to my whiteboard and go over this in detail, but I think this is a good description of the cycle of frailty and how it impacts us as aging adults, and why I think strength and maintaining or increasing muscle mass is so important in the definition of fitness for we aging adults. So let's go over to the whiteboard.
Alrighty, let's talk about frailty and this frailty cycle here. This came from that diagram I showed you earlier. It's a little bit more condensed here so you can see it, hopefully. So this is a downward spiral. It's age-related, and it's going to happen regardless, but I do believe that this whole frailty cycle can be slowed down and maybe reversed to a degree. Now, this whole cycle is predicated on sarcopenia. Now, what is sarcopenia? That's an age-related involuntary loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength. Now, there are studies that say that starting at age 40, it's a linear decline in skeletal muscle mass, and by the time you're 80, you could have lost up to 50% of your skeletal muscle mass. That's a lot of muscle mass. But like I said, I think that's something we pay attention to. We can slow and or reverse to a degree. Now, here's where this gets ugly. So sarcopenia is basically a weight loss, which is most likely caused by chronic undernutrition by older adults. So this sarcopenia leads to two possible downward trends. The first is your total energy expenditure as a loss of with the loss of muscle mass is going to go down. Your metabolic rate is going to drop. You're going to get slower and slower and slower. And the other path is loss of strength, obviously. That's going to go down, and that's going to lead to other things that are not good. Impaired balance, which is going to lead to falls and injuries and immobilization. Now, this very thing right here, I have seen in my mom right now, today, and I'm working with her on this, trying to rectify this to a degree. Now, this whole cycle here can be slowed down or reversed, as I said, if we could get rid of this muscle mass loss here. So let's talk about that for a bit. Okay, so let's summarize this. So the original question was, is fitness all about building muscle? And certainly in the broader sense, the answer is no. But contextually, for older adults, muscle building plays a big role in being able to be fit. In my humble opinion, aging adults lose mobility, they lose independence, they lose the ability to stay active, which impacts fitness, and the whole cycle is a downward trend. I believe that can be reversed or at least slowed down with activity and exercise. And to be able to do that, you need to have muscle. You need to have strength. You need to be able to maintain and, or even better, increase your muscle mass. So yes, in the context of the older adult, it is very important to have muscle mass and maintain muscle mass and continue to grow it if you can to be able to be fit. We have to be able to move and be active and be independent to be able to get to the optimal fit state for us. Now, obviously, I'm a little bit of an outlier there when it comes to the normal 62-year-old. I have more muscle mass to work with, so it's a little bit easier process for me. But I do believe anyone can reverse this frailty syndrome with some work and doctor intervention and therapists and trainers. You can certainly get to the point where you're getting stronger. And to get stronger, you need to have at least maintain your muscle mass, if not grow it a little bit. And that's going to keep us mobile and independent for a lot longer. Yeah, my humble opinion, it's just better to live a very active life throughout the entirety of your lifespan. If it's 100, you want to be active until you're 100. You don't want to be sick and frail from 80 to 100 when you can be active from 80 to 100. Hopefully that makes sense. But so yeah, I thought about this a lot, and fitness is not possible without muscle mass and strength and mobility and everything that goes along with that. So that's my take. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you being here. And if you're this far in, hit that like button for me. That'd be great. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Come join our group and stay tuned for more content like this. It's been great having you. And with that, I will say, until next time, go get 'em. Mark out.